Hey folks, James Limerick Kerr here, and we're going to be talking today about understanding chord Roman numerals, understanding how the chords connect to the key. That's what the Roman numerals are all about. It relates the chord in the song or the chord progression to the key you're in. The first Roman numerals I think that you want to get down as you're starting to learn this process are the 1 chords and the 5 chords for any of the keys that you're working on. Those are by far the most common keys, most common chords in Western music are 1 chords and 5 chords. So we could analyze all of Western music, and a huge percentage of it would be 1s and 5s happening over and over. So learn to recognize that. I can hear that that's a 5 chord. Oh, I can hear that it's resolving back to the 1 chord. So the 1 chords are easy to name and recognize, right? The first step is knowing the key you're in. What key is this song in? What key is this tune in? So learning your keys is a big part of this. But there's certainly common keys on the guitar that we play in all the time. So if we talk about G major, the 1 chord would be a G, right? So whatever key you're in, the 1 chord is that letter name. So that one's easy to recognize and spot. So if we're in the key of G, the 1 chord is G. If we're in G major. And uppercase Roman numerals for major chords. So if we're in a major key, the 1 chord is uppercase Roman numeral 1. If we're in a minor key, it would be lowercase if we're in G minor. Lowercase Roman numeral G. Lowercase Roman numeral 1, sorry. So in G, how do we determine what the 5 chord is, or what are all these numbers connected to? And it's quite simple when you get the gist of it. I like to relate it just to the major scale of the key you're in. So a G major scale in this case has 1 sharp in the key of G major. So the notes are G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G is a G major scale. And then now consider each one of those notes in the scale, give them a number, a scale degree number. So we could call this tonic or root, tonic, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, back to the tonic again. So there's 7 different notes in the major scale. So you're simply stacking a chord on the given scale degree number. That's where they come from. So if you just count up the scale, root, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, that's what the 5 chord is in G. So that would be G, A, B, C, D. That's a D. So the 5 chord in G is D. All right, but that's where those numbers come from. There's a simple trick I like to use with my guitar students also, where if you know where the root is on the 6th string, you can just picture, a power chord. You can find the 5th on a guitar very easily, 2 frets higher. If you picture a power chord shape, is a quick visual trick to locate the 5th as well. So root and 5th, 1 chord, and then 5 chord. So you could write out a major scale on the staff here, as you see, and then just construct a triad on each one of the scale degrees. So just build a chord, root, 3rd, 5th, off of the 1 of the key, and that's your G chord in this case. And then build a chord off the 5th degree of the scale, root, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and then stack a chord on top of that, root, 3rd, 5th, and you got that D root position triad. So you can start just recognizing the root position triads. And then, it's typical guitar voicings. So if you're playing a song in the key of G and all of a sudden you got that D chord, you can hear that that's the 5. So start to sing these. Sing the major scale. Root, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, root, 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th, 3, 2, 1. Get comfortable with naming I suggest singing the numbers like that for the scale. Whatever key you're in. Sing it up and down. Root, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, root, 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, root. And then you'll be able to train your ear to recognize these. That's the other part of this, is recognizing these chords by ear. Hugely important. So after a while, I can just easily hear with no effort at all that that's the 5 chord. You know, I could be closing my eyes or don't even know the song, but I can just hear from the context that that's the 5 chord in the key. So that's what we're going for here. So sing the root. 1, 5. That's another way to do this. Just sing the 1. 1, 5, 1. Then sing it while you're playing the chords. 5, 1, 5, 1. So you can grain the sound of the roots of those most commonly. The third most common chord that we hear in progressions is a 4 chord. So we hear that all the time, most famously in blues, right? So a 1, 4, 5 progression, you probably heard that. And so let's move up to B flat. The most common key in jazz is B flat. So same thing, if we play a B flat major scale, 6th, 7th, root, 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, root. So if you construct a chord on the 1, that's B flat, of course. And then if we construct, count up, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, that's an F. So the 5 of B flat is F. So now I'm going to add some, fancier jazz type voicings here that have extensions and alterations in the chords. There's more notes in the chords, but you can still hear that the progression is centered around 1, 4, and 5. So let's hear a little of that. So we'd start on the 1 chord. 4, So that's a 12-bar blues. Learn to recognize by ear. Okay, in a blues progression, in measure 5, that's the big move to the 4 chord, whatever key you're in. And then back to the 1 chord in measure 7. And then there's variations in blues progression. That was kind of a typical jazz bebop style progression where they go to the 2 chord, which is minor. So in this case, that'd be a C minor. Or if we're adding the C minor 7th. And then the 5, like we said, is an F. And then back to the 1. So the big move to the 5 chord, or in this case, the 2 chord, is on measure 9 of a 12-bar blues. That's where you hit the 5 chord, or a 2-5-1. And then back to the 1. This is a turnaround to 6, 2, 5, 1. So that 5 chord wants to resolve back to a 1 chord. That's what we call a cadence that we hear all over the place in Western music. A cadence. It wants to resolve back home to the 1. So that's a 5 or 5-7 resolving to 1. So a couple of the most common keys in guitar music let's look at and just get an understanding of 1, 4, 5. So let's go to just C major here. No sharps and flats in C major. So start again with just playing the major scale. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Those are the notes, no sharps and flats, and then assign each scale degree a number. Root, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, root, 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, root. You can sing it in whatever octave is comfortable in your range. And then, be able to sing it without the guitar. Root, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, root, 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, root. And then when I'm talking scale degrees, a little distinction here. I use that tense roots 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. That's the individual notes of the scale. But when we're talking chords, then I'd say just the number. 1. So if I was 1, and then the key of C, the 5th is G. So a 5 chord in the key of C would be G. 1, 5, 1, 5, 1. 4 would be F. 1, 5, 1, 4. So those are by far the most common chords in any key are the 1, 4, and the 5. So I'd get down those first, and a couple of the other most standard keys. D major, I'll go through it for at least these first 5 keys, and the sharp side of the circle of fifths are the most common keys we see on guitar, unless we're talking jazz, which is usually in the flat keys. That's talking about the keys. The circle of fifths is a great way to learn the keys. So D major, the 1 chord, of course, is going to be D. So that one's easy to spot. And then play up your scale. You could also count it on your fingers. That's a nice, easy trick as well to finding what the Roman numerals are for the key. So as long as you know what key you're in, we're in the key of D, D, E, F sharp in this case, G, A. So you got to factor in the accidentals, the sharps or flats, to the key signature. But otherwise, you could just get the Roman numeral by counting up your fingers. D, E, F sharp, G, A. So the 5 chord of D is an A, the 5. So after a while, it's pretty easy once you get the gist of it, how to determine what the Roman numerals stand for. Just count up the key. D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. And that's just giving them the letter names, and then we can find out that the 5 chord is A in the key of D. So what would the 4 chord be in the key of D? The 4 chord, if you ponder it for a second and count up, the 4 chord, you guessed it, would be a G in the key of D. And sing those. So 1, 5, 1. You can just kind of sing back and forth. 5, 1, 5. So really ingraining the bass notes of the roots of each of the chords. And if we go to the 4, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1. And then a big part of this is doing a lot of listening, conscious listening. I would definitely urge you to pick some music that's harmonically simple. Blues, bluegrass, folk, or country are great for this. It doesn't mean those styles are easy to play by any stretch at the highest level, but harmonically simple, meaning there's not a lot of chords, not a lot of key changes usually. So listen to the music and then just see if you can pause it here and there and say, what chord is that? Can I hear when they're going to the 4? If I listen to a blues, a 12-bar blues, can I hear where I am in the form? Can I recognize, oh, there, they just went to the 5, I can hear that? So practice doing listening and try to spot these. And you can pause the recording and try to sing up. Root, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. That's the 4 chord I can hear. And then they went back to the 1 chord. And then I can hear that it's the 5. Sing it. So vocalize. I'm a big believer in vocalizing. Sing the roots of the chords is the quickest way to internalize this process. But just getting the Roman numeral itself, you can easily do just counting up on your fingers or playing up the major scale. Couple other keys we could do. A major. Play the A major scale. You know, you might have to pause it and work out a fingering for A major scale, but once you got that, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. So the 5 chord is E for A. So A chord is the 1, of course. 5. E, back to 1. 5. 1. Let's take it up to the 4. 4. 5. Just playing some simple chord progressions that you could learn to recognize 1, 4, and 5. So for these most common keys, certainly on the guitar, just memorize what the 1, 4s, and 5s are for the key. So when you go to the jam, for whatever style of music you're into, if you're going to a blues jam or a bluegrass jam, or just playing songs with friends, this allows you to pick up songs easily just by ear. There's no more mystery of like, oh, I need the chord chart or I need to follow it on the tab or something. I can just hear the changes that they're playing easily by ear. And it makes transposing songs to different keys much easier if you understand the 1, 4, 5s of the keys. You can switch keys easily. Oh, let's find a key that's better for the vocalist, which is what should be the guiding factor for choosing keys. And then you can learn to transpose keys. So you're not just memorizing random letter names. You're really hearing the harmonic connection of the chord to the key you're in. It's all about the key. All right, so let's go through lastly today, what would be, if we counted out all the Roman numerals for a key. Let's go back to G major. And we talked about 1, 4, and 5 so far. I would say the next most common is the 6 chord. So that would be the minor. A 6 chord in a major key is minor. 6. So in the key of G major, that would be an E minor chord. So lowercase Roman numeral 6. And that would also be the relative minor. So a lot of times we modulate to the relative minor on a bridge or a chorus. So the 6 chords we hear all the time also. So that's the next one. After you're really comfortable with 1, 4, and 5, start to recognize the 6 chords for these keys. You can also count backwards to get to the 6. Root 7th, 6. The 6 chord is minor. So let's go through the 1 chord. If we're in G major, would be a major chord. So you can write out a G major scale again on the staff, which you can see here. And then if you stack a triad, a chord on top of each scale degree, these are the qualities of each chord. The 1 would be major, the 2 would be minor, so that'd be lowercase Roman numeral 2. In this case, A minor would be the 2 chord in G major. 3 is minor, so that'd be lowercase Roman numeral B minor. The 4, as we've discussed, is major, so that would be a C chord. In the key of G major, the 4 is a C, and then the 5 is major. 5. 6 is minor. Now the 7th is diminished, so that's kind of the odd duck here, the diminished chord. You're not going to find a lot of 7 chords in the songs you're playing, but if you stack a triad above the 7th of degree of the major scale, it creates a diminished chord. And then back to the 1. All right, so those are how the chords, the qualities of each chords in the key. All right, so you can recognize that's a 2. And in jazz, we hear a lot of 2, 5, 5, 1. If you add sevenths to the chords. 2, 5, 1. 2, 5, 1. All right, so if this lesson was a helpful introduction to Roman numerals, and if you got something out of it, hit the subscribe. There's going to be lots more videos related to music theory and the guitar on this channel. So I hope you enjoyed. Check out the textbook. So if you're interested in getting a lot more detailed information on this, taking it in progression up to more advanced concepts related to chords and harmony and scales and playing, as well as performance and teaching, then check out the textbook below, the link to my guitar textbook, a 21st century guidebook for guitarists, practice, performance, and teaching, which you can find in the description below. So hit the subscribe, and thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.